Ah, NASCAR. At its golden age, everyone and their mother wanted a piece of the action, and especially none other than the motherland. No, I'm not talking about Russia. Australia! Yep, that's right. Here in the land down under, we had our own version of America's smash hit NASCAR series called, fittingly, OzCar. And well, it was spearheaded by the late great Bob Jane. Yeah, that Bob Jane. With the rise in NASCAR's record crowds and influence, Jane wanted a piece of that action down here in the land down under. So what better way to do it than to build a giant oval track just like the ones in the States? Bring forth the Thunderdome! Also known as Calder Park Thunderdome, but the Thunderdome! Sounds like a Mad Max scene, you know, it's pretty cool. The Thunderdome finished construction in 1987, with the first race taking place literally 2 weeks after the grand opening of the place. The circuit itself was based off Charlotte Motor Speedway in America, with a banking of 24 degrees and turns 1, 2, 3, and 4. And 5, I think. Let me check this. Anyway, the construction wasn't all glamorous, to be fair. With Australia, you know, primarily being a road racing country, we didn't have many ovals, so Bob Jane himself had to cough up $20 million to build the circuit. And Australia, you know, again, having no knowledge of oval circuits, had to ship over engineers to build the circuit from America. Because all we know is meat pies and Bathurst and Holden Commodores. OzCar had the honours of racing there first with the aptly named OzCar 200. Go figure, I guess, eh? To which a young 19-year-old female racer, Terry Sawyer, won the first ever race at Calder Park Thunderdome. The top 5 of the event were all driving Commodores too, so that kind of fuels my Holden veins. Delicious. However, the first actual event that used only the Thunderdome circuit was the Goodyear NASCAR 500. This was the first ever event in which NASCAR was outside of its North American stronghold too, which is pretty cool. Funnily enough, as it being in Australia, it was a 500-kilometer race, not 500 miles. So it was actually, I think with my calculations, like 305, 310 miles or some shit. Which isn't a typical NASCAR race. Aussies took on the Yanks with the likes of Jim Richards, Bobby Allison, Dick Johnson, Michael Waltrip, and Alan Grice racing that weekend. Man, those are some big names, eh? The race was The race was broadcasted, obviously, in Australia, in America by ESPN, and in Europe too. So the event was quite a big deal. So, qualifying saw Neil Bonnet from America take the pole with only 2 Aussies in the top 10 too, so you can definitely see how this is going to go. Meanwhile, in the race, unsurprisingly saw the USA dominate, taking out the first 10 positions with Neil Bonnet taking the dub. Overall though, it was quite a big field. 31 cars lined up for the start with only 15 finishing, which is pretty typical for an oval race and especially a NASCAR race, I gotta admit. You know, not gonna lie, kinda sounds like a modern day Formula 1 race with all these DNFs. That was a joke, by the way. So, as I click my fingers, so, what happened to the track? Is it still used? And is OzCar still a thing? Well, first off, Australian stock car auto racing unfortunately met its demise in 2001. Its downfall was due to the rising popularity of V8 supercars, lack of public interest, and political reasons between the governing body, CAMS, and Bob Jane. So, Thunderdome, I hear you say, or probably not, but anyway, the track itself, the Thunderdome, is, unfortunately, it sits abandoned now. The track itself sits abandoned, rotting away with grass filling the stands once where people sat at, and the track in disrepair. Fondly remembered as a place many people would go in their younger years and watch car racing, now only holds local small track days and PR videos. It's actually been, surprisingly enough, almost 20 years since a national-sized category has raced here at the Thunderdome. It's not all doom and gloom though. There were talks in the early 2020s of a potential renovation of the track, but I'm unsure if this is actually going to come to fruition, as researching this video, haven't actually found much more concrete recent information about this either. Who knows, maybe one day we might see V8s on the oval perhaps, like we did in the E-Series in 2020. That was pretty cool, not gonna lie, you know. Supercars, if you're listening. Definitely not, but anyway. Well, this is the part of the video where I'm going to start rambling on a bit, going off script, just a tad, just a little bit. researching this video, overall, seeing this place the way it is now, it saddens me, I don't think Bob Jane would want this to be a part of his legacy. The way the sponsorship boards are still visible, but, massively faded, it's a sign of a stronger motorsport identity back in the early days, and it's a sign of when people used to actually go to racetracks too. What do I know though? Who knows? Maybe the track will get a North Wilkesboro treatment. All it needs is Dale Earnhardt Jr. and his lawnmower.